everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video, we're going to start running through, now that you all know what the tow car is, running through some of the mods and upgrades and stuff that I'm going to do to it, have done to it, or haven't really done it yet, but going to have things to do to it. It'll make sense in a second. So I think I mentioned in the video, looking at doing a backup battery in the rear, or a dual battery setup in the rear. To start with, I'm just going to be keeping a pretty cheap, simple, basic setup, basically until I know what I want. Until we've actually taken it out and used it and kind of done a few things, I'm not really going to know what I want in terms of a setup, how far I need to go, how big I need to go, what I'd like the physical setup like in the back of the car. So to start with, what I've got, thanks to Facebook Marketplace, as always, I've grabbed, there's a couple of things there I'll run you through, but grabbed a battery box, a whole bank breaking $20 off Facebook Marketplace. Dude had a spare one, he was just getting rid of it, was sitting around in his shed. So it's a King's, I know there's hit and miss opinions of King's, but for a battery box, it's a pretty straightforward little thing. Battery box for the dual setup in the back. Obviously it's got your points there to connect your charger up to, voltage readout, on off switch, a couple of Anderson plugs on the top, facing both directions depending on how you're using it. It's also got the 12-volt output and the 2 USB plugs at the back as well. It's a pretty standard box. Pretty much everyone's either seen or used one of these around somewhere. So I've got to grab a battery for that. I do have some old car batteries that I've used to replace just because they weren't holding enough charge for the car or not enough voltage for the car. I'm going to try to see if one of these is going to work. I'll put it on my deep cycle charger and see if I can recover it. Or I'm going to have to buy a new battery for this or find one to fit it. So that's the first one. I do still need a charger. I have got my eye on a couple that popped up on Facebook Marketplace again. Going to see if I can grab one of those this weekend. All the weekend's over. Today's Sunday. I'm off on Tuesday. My roster's all messed up again. I'm off on Tuesday, so potentially see if I can grab one of those this week. Not asking too much for it, see if I can knock them down a little bit more, obviously. But if I can get the charger, then it's just a matter of wiring everything up. This will do everything else I need. Obviously, battery, and then just wire it all up, and then we'll go from there. So, as I said, just keeping it nice and simple. Just something that's going to give me some power outlets, some 12-volt outlets. Obviously, the Anderson plugs on the top, which I'll run through. I've got some of those, picked them up tonight as well. The cigarette lighter charger, and obviously the Anderson plugs are going to be a big thing, which I will show you in a second for some other stuff I've got going. So, the other thing I picked up tonight, my old man used to have a four-wheel drive, used to go caravanning a lot. They did the whole grey nomad thing, touring around Australia. Big caravan, four-wheel drive, went, out the back of nowhere for weeks on end. So it was set up for a lot of that long-term caravanning and staying off grid and that sort of stuff. So he has got a lot of stuff still floating around at home. I've been lucky enough to grab a bunch of it. So Anderson plugs, got a bunch of brand new, I've got 4 brand new Anderson plugs in there ready to go. So that's going to be helpful setting up my bits and pieces I want to set up to plug into all this sort of stuff. So that's going to be really, really helpful to have any accessories and stuff that I want to wire up that I can plug straight into the top of the battery box. They're also pretty universal. These are used on pretty much all these 12-volt setups. These big Anderson plugs are used on all that sort of stuff because they're high current. Very safe, nice secure locking connection. So that's going to be really helpful to have those. The other thing I picked up off him was this little set. If you can see it from that far back, you just hook it up. This little set of 4 LED bars. So as you know, I've got the marquees or the awnings off the side of the truck. I did happen to mention to him that I was looking at getting them, and he's like, "Hang on a second, I think I've got a set I've never actually used." Lo and behold, a set of 4 little LED light bars. I did just hook them up just to kind of see what they look like or how they work on my little 12-volt power supply. 4 of them. They come with there's 3 or 4 little dimmers. You can plug into them individually or in daisy chain. So these are currently got 2 in series at the moment. It's got a whole bunch of like Y connectors, so you can put them in parallel. You can hook them in series. You can do all sorts of funky stuff with them. Obviously, the idea being potentially put 1 or 2 in the actual back of the cabin. But I'll see how much light they put off. I mean, I've turned them on here. I'll put them on in a sec. They are pretty freaking bright. Potentially put 1 or 2 in the back of the actual cab itself. So if I'm having to get stuff out of the back of the car, I can kind of see what I'm looking for, actually find shit. but also wanting to put them on the like the supports for the awning. So if we're sitting out at night, I can have a couple of these up, and we can actually have some light and see what the hell we're doing and actually kind of see what's going on. So as you can see, if I turn this on, they are dimmable, but they do get, just off the two of them, do get very bright. There's a very good light output from it. They are a bright white, not a yellow light, so they will be quite bright to the eye at night. Obviously being able to dim them down is going to be a big help as well, so you can just put enough light so you can see what you're doing without blinding everyone. Does have a bunch of extension cables as well. It comes with a whole, like 5 of these, so obviously you can run them as far as you want. Does have a straight cigarette lighter charger. I'll try to show you. So it does have just the normal 12-volt cigarette lighter charger. Also has the adapter to go from that to the alligator clips onto car battery, or your positive negative terminal, depending on how you've got it set up. Obviously this will be able to plug into the back of that, which would be really helpful. Could also, again, hook up one of the Anderson plugs, make it, hook it up to, could potentially hook the Anderson plugs up to something to go to a terminal block for that to run off as well. So a couple of options there. As I said, to start with, the setup is going to be very basic. Even if I've got to unplug one thing to plug something else in, at the moment I don't really care. But just getting some basic kind of setup going so I can see what I want. It's just got to be functional for Chili Jam, basically. We've got a very short amount of time to get stuff ready. Lots of budget going to other stuff. So I don't want to spend too much money without knowing exactly what I want. But this will be really, really handy, especially at night if I've got to work on a car or something. That's a lot of light. If I've got the 4 of them under the awning, if I'm working on the car, that's a lot of light for me to work under. If I have to fix something till late at night, it's going to be an absolute godsend, where there's not a lot of light, rather than getting out with your torches and a little flashlight or something. That's going to be massive. The other thing I got, which I'm going to have to unclip you to show everyone, excuse my hand in front of the lens. The other thing we got, turn this around so you can see it, again, from my old man, is a portable fridge. So it is only a 40 litre fridge. I say that, but it's still pretty big. For what we want going away for a day or two, 40 litres will be more than enough to put some meat and cold food and stuff in, some cold drinks, etc. And then obviously, if you want to switch over drinks and stuff, so as you're getting low, put some more drinks in. It is a fridge, not an esky, so it will cool it down. It does go down to minus 18 degrees, minus 18 to plus 4 degrees, so it will, if need be, freeze stuff. So he had it set up that, or the way he kind of did it was, he'd get the fridge right down to freezing cold just off the 240. It has got the 240 and the 12 volt. He'd get it down to 240. He'd get it down as cold as possible on the 240. Throw all his stuff in it, go, and then as they're traveling, yes, it is still attached to the battery, but it means it kind of gives that kickstart to get it really, really cold before you go out and kind of go off grid. So yeah, that's going to be between that and the awnings. I can just imagine the next hot track day, sitting on the awning with cold drinks and cold food. God, it'd be an absolute game changer. It will be ridiculous. So really looking forward to giving that a crack. Haven't had the chance to tow with the new car yet. Really looking forward to trying to do that as well. I'm going to pop this up here because this is hurting my arm holding this camera. Apologies for clicking you into there again. So going to, I think Easter weekend is going to be the first event we're actually going to tow, or the first event we're going to go to with the car. That's a For the Girls event for Marissa. So won't be driving. I am driving on the sim. I've got to do a lot more driving on the sim, practice for Rayleigh. Obviously, I'm not going to physically be drifting until Rayleigh, which is, I'm going to get massive withdrawals, but I think it's just going to be, a good way of getting it out of my system, getting out there and driving. I'm going to still have to do a bunch of mods to the car, not a bunch of mods, but there's a few things I need to fix to it and tweak it. Concerning issue I had the other day when I was moving it, it was misfiring something horrible. I've definitely dropped a cylinder there somewhere, so going to have a really good look at that. Hopefully it's just a bad connection, bad plug. The fact that it's just been sitting for so long, hopefully it's just a the engine's just a little bit gummy. Let it warm up. Hopefully it comes good. But I'm going to have to go through and have a good look at that and make sure there's nothing weird going on. Obviously, last time we ran it was South Circuit. Hopefully there's nothing untoward going on there. So gonna have to get that in the garage. Gonna make a little bit more room because I've got some stuff in here, obviously fridges and shit now as well. Gonna have to make some room, get the car in here and spend a good little bit of time looking at it, making sure it's all good and there's nothing massive going on. If so, that's gonna be mad scramble to try and get that fixed beforehand. But I have a feeling it's just because it's the last time I ran was South Circuit. It's been sitting. I only started it the other day for the first time in a couple of weeks, so it does sit in a bit of a hill, so the oil does kind of collect towards the back of the engine. So I'm hoping it's just a little bit gummy there. There's nothing massively bad going on. Turbo was spooling up fine. It was just misfiring really bad, so might check the plugs, give it a good clean, make sure it's all nice and good to go. But yeah, it didn't take me long. 3 days. What is it now? Sunday. 4 days of having the car, and I've already got mods. To be fair, I was planning mods before I even picked up the car. The whole 12-volt rear dual battery setup, I was planning that sort of days before I even picked up the car. So the fact that I've got the awning and picking up all this sort of stuff. My old man does have a CB aerial as well, and potentially a couple of other little bits and pieces I'm going to grab off him. I do eventually want to put a decent little CB into it. He's got a big long-range antenna to put on the front of it. I'll look at a full sick forward driving bro. But it'd be good for me going for longer drives on the highways and stuff like that. I do have my small little CBs, but they're only line of sight up to about 2K. Having a big aerial that I can use will be good on long drives when we're doing big group drives and stuff like that to kind of keep in contact with everyone. But also if we end up deciding to go out bush a little bit and go sort of further out away from contact, it would be handy to have that as just a safety backup thing to be able to get in contact with people if need be. But yeah, I'm really excited. I've been driving this car now since Friday, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've been driving it to and from work, and it is just a joy to drive. It is so nice, so smooth. It's just easy to drive. It's actually a pleasure to drive. It's not just nice to drive, it is actually enjoyable to drive it. I'm really happy with it. I'm beyond over the moon. It is brilliant. Cannot wait to tow with it and find out how that goes. Cannot wait to take it on a nice long drive. I think I might top up the fuel, and me and Marissa might bugger off some point next weekend. Got a few days off next weekend. So I think we might plan to take a day trip somewhere and just stretch its legs up the highway or something. Go for a cruise and just kind of see what happens. But I'd love to take it for a nice long drive and just see how it goes for a good 2-hour drive or something. Take it up Bell's Line, go to Lisco, I don't know, something. We'll find somewhere to go. But yeah, really keen to kind of get out on the highway and really stretch its legs and just see how it feels on a long drive. Obviously, Coffs Harbour is going to be 5.5, 6 hours, depending on how we go with towing. Obviously, I'm probably not going to be towing as slow as I usually do with the Captiva. I will most probably be able to stay to the speed limit or close to